My name is Rachel Morrison and I'm 29 years old. There I was in my ivory gown, cutting our 3-tier vanilla cake with my husband Marcus, surrounded by the warm glow of fairy lights in our Portland venue. The room buzzed with celebration, but an emptiness gnawed at my chest. Not one member of my biological family sat among our guests. Only friends and Marcus's relatives filled the decorated tables. As we sliced through the buttercream frosting, my phone buzzed insistently. A text from my dad. Emergency, call immediately. Below it, 41 missed calls from various family members. My hands trembled as dread washed over me. Before I continue, let me know if you've ever felt completely abandoned by those who should love you most. Sometimes the people who share your DNA can inflict the deepest wounds. To understand why my entire family missed my wedding, I need to take you back to where this all began. I grew up in what appeared to be an idyllic middle-class home in Sacramento, California, with my parents Michael and Patricia Morrison and my younger sister, Lily. From the outside, we seemed like the perfect suburban family, with our coordinated holiday photos, annual camping trips to Lake Tahoe. But inside our house, I was always the invisible child. Lily was 2 years younger than me, but she might as well have been wearing a tiara from birth. With her auburn hair, infectious laugh, and natural charisma, she was the golden child who could do no wrong. She starred in school plays, captained the cheerleading squad, and had this magnetic personality that drew everyone into her orbit. I wasn't jealous of her talents or beauty. What devastated me was how drastically different our parents treated us. "Dad, I made the honour roll again," I announced one evening during my junior year of high school, waving my report card with straight A's. Dad barely glanced up from helping Lily practice her lines for the school musical. "That's great, sweetheart. Put it on the refrigerator," he said dismissively. But when Lily landed the lead role in that same musical, our parents threw her an impromptu celebration dinner at our favourite steakhouse, complete with a congratulatory cake. I sat quietly that night, picking at my food and wondering why my academic achievements never warranted such enthusiasm. This pattern defined my entire childhood. I excelled in chemistry and mathematics, earning state-level science fair awards and academic scholarships, but my accomplishments were always overshadowed by whatever Lily was pursuing at the moment. My parents missed my high school graduation because Lily had a regional cheerleading competition the same day. "You understand, don't you? This could lead to a college scholarship for Lily," Mom explained when I protested. I did understand, logically, but understanding didn't make the abandonment hurt any less. I graduated valedictorian to an audience containing only my best friend Emma and her parents. By college, I had accepted my role as the forgotten daughter. I stopped calling home regularly, knowing conversations would inevitably centre on Lily's latest adventures. I built an independent life, made genuine friendships with people who valued my intellect and kindness, and focused on my pre-med studies. During my senior year at UC Berkeley, when I graduated summa cum laude, my parents promised they would attend the ceremony. I reserved 3 seats, one for Mom, one for Dad, and one for Lily. The morning of graduation, I received a text from my mother. Lily got accepted to a last-minute audition for a commercial in Los Angeles. "We're driving her down! So proud of you, though! Take lots of pictures!" Only Emma sat in my designated family section that day, cheering loudly enough for 4 people when my name was called. Emma Thompson became my chosen family. We met during freshman orientation and instantly connected over our shared love of terrible reality TV and late-night study sessions. She was majoring in social work, driven by genuine compassion and an ability to see through people's facades. After graduation, we both found jobs in Portland and shared a cozy apartment in the Pearl District for 4 years. She witnessed my family dysfunction firsthand, holding me through tears after particularly painful holiday visits or forgotten birthdays. I met Marcus Rivera at a medical conference when I was 27. He was tall, with warm hazel eyes and an easy smile that made even the most serious medical discussions feel lighter. On our second date, I found myself explaining my complicated family dynamics, bracing for the usual awkward sympathy. Instead, Marcus reached across our small table at the wine bar and took my hand firmly. "Rachel, that's not normal. You deserve so much better from the people who claim to love you," he said with conviction. No one had ever validated my pain so directly. For years, I had wondered if I was being overly sensitive or dramatic for wanting equal treatment from my parents. Marcus helped me see that my feelings were completely justified and that my family's behaviour was genuinely harmful. As our relationship deepened, Marcus encouraged me to establish healthier boundaries with my family. "You can't control their choices," he would remind me, "but you can control how much power you give them over your happiness." He suggested I try therapy, which I reluctantly agreed to. Dr. Sarah Chen helped me understand concepts like emotional neglect and golden child syndrome. She taught me to practice what she called detached compassion, caring about my family while protecting myself from their dysfunction. I began implementing what Dr. Chen called radical acceptance of my family's limitations. Instead of hoping they would suddenly become different people, I adjusted my expectations to match reality. It was painful, but liberating. I stopped desperately seeking their approval and focused instead on building a fulfilling life with people who appreciated me. Marcus became my anchor, my biggest supporter, and my safe harbor. His family embraced me from our first meeting at their home in San Diego. His mother, Carmen, called me weekly just to chat about work and life. His father, David, shared articles about medical breakthroughs he thought might interest me. His sister, Sophia, became the sister relationship I had always yearned for with Lily. "You're part of our family now," Carmen told me during my second visit, pulling me into a warm hug. "In this family, we celebrate everyone equally." I excused myself to cry in their guest bathroom, overwhelmed by such simple kindness that felt revolutionary to me. Marcus found me there and held me wordlessly, understanding exactly what those tears represented. With therapy, Marcus's unwavering support, and my own determination, I made a sacred promise to myself. I would stop measuring my self-worth by my family's inability to recognize it. I would create happiness on my own terms, and most importantly, I would break this toxic cycle if I ever had children of my own. I had no idea how severely this resolve would be tested when Marcus and I decided to marry. Marcus proposed on our 3rd anniversary at Powell's Books, where we'd had our first official date browsing the science section. He had secretly coordinated with the staff to create a custom book display featuring photos from our relationship with the title, The Next Chapter, Will You Marry Me? When I turned the corner and saw him kneeling there with a vintage Art Deco ring, I burst into tears of joy. The entire bookstore erupted in applause as I said yes through my sobs. That evening, as we celebrated with champagne on our apartment balcony overlooking the Willamette River, anxiety began creeping in. I needed to tell my family about our engagement. "They'll be happy for you," Marcus assured me, though his slight hesitation revealed his own doubts about their reaction. I called my parents the next morning, my stomach churning as the phone rang. Mom answered after several rings, sounding distracted. "Hi, honey, what's going on?" "Mom, I have wonderful news. Marcus proposed last night, and I said yes! We're engaged!" The silence stretched long enough that I wondered if the call had dropped. Finally, she responded with forced enthusiasm. "Oh, that's great news. Congratulations." No excitement, no questions about the proposal or the ring, no offer to celebrate together. "We're thinking about a full wedding, maybe in 8 months, I continued, desperately trying to generate some maternal enthusiasm. "That sounds lovely, dear. We'll need to see what our schedule looks like." Then, predictably, oh, by the way, Lily just booked her first major modelling contract with a Portland agency. We're so excited for her career breakthrough. And just like that, my engagement announcement was overshadowed by Lily's latest achievement. Despite their lukewarm response, Marcus and I proceeded with our wedding planning. We chose a charming historic mansion in the Nob Hill neighborhood for our ceremony and reception. I wanted something intimate and meaningful rather than extravagant, about 80 guests in a space filled with natural light and surrounded by rose gardens. We selected a menu featuring local Pacific Northwest cuisine, chose a photographer whose work captured genuine emotions rather than posed perfection, and found a florist who created stunning arrangements with dahlias and eucalyptus. Every decision felt authentic to who we were as a couple, creating something that truly represented our values and personalities. 6 months before the wedding, we sent elegant invitations printed on recycled paper, including ones to my parents, Lily, and a few aunts and uncles. Weeks passed without any RSVPs from my family. I finally called my mother, trying to keep my voice steady. "Mom, did you receive our wedding invitation? The caterer needs final numbers soon." "Oh yes, we got it. It's beautiful," she said vaguely. "Your father and I have been meaning to respond. We'll definitely try to make it, of course, but you know how unpredictable our schedules can be." "It's my wedding day," I said, my voice cracking slightly. "I really need you all to be there." "Of course, sweetheart. We wouldn't miss it for the world," she replied, but something in her tone felt hollow. Each subsequent conversation followed the same pattern. They would promise to attend but deflect any discussion of wedding details or their specific roles in the ceremony. When I asked if Dad would want to walk me down the aisle for the traditional father-daughter moment, he mumbled something about checking his calendar and getting back to me. Throughout this process, Emma was my lifeline. She threw herself into her maid-of-honor duties with enthusiasm that made up for my family's indifference. She organised a beautiful bridal shower, helped me find the perfect dress at a vintage boutique, and listened patiently through my tearful venting sessions about my family's behaviour. "They'll come around," she assured me repeatedly, "and if they don't, I'll be standing right beside you the entire day. You're not alone in this, Rachel." Marcus's family stepped up in extraordinary ways too. Carmen offered to help with flowers and decorations. David insisted on contributing financially, though we had planned to handle all expenses ourselves. Sophia organised a separate shower with Marcus's extended family, making me feel truly welcomed into their clan. During this period, my relationship with my biological family became increasingly strained. My phone calls home were met with distracted responses and quick excuses to hang up. Lily rarely returned my texts, claiming she was super busy with photo shoots and casting calls. I tried to convince myself it was normal pre-wedding stress making me oversensitive, but deep down I sensed something was wrong. Still, I clung to hope. Despite decades of disappointment, some naive part of me believed my wedding would be different. Surely this milestone would finally be important enough to warrant their full attention and presence. I was about to learn just how wrong I could be. 3 weeks before my wedding, I was scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break at the hospital when I saw something that made my blood turn to ice. It was a photo of Lily wearing a stunning emerald dress, her hand extended to show off a massive diamond ring. The caption read, "She said yes, engaged, future wife goals, living my best life." I stared at the screen in disbelief. Lily was engaged to Trevor Walsh, the photographer she'd been casually dating for only 4 months, and nobody had bothered to tell me. The comments section was flooded with congratulations, including several from my parents. My mother had written, "So proud of our beautiful girl. Can't wait to celebrate this weekend." My hands shaking, I immediately called my mother. She answered cheerfully until she heard my voice. "Oh, Rachel. Hi, honey. What's up? Lily is engaged?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "You saw her post?" "Yes, Trevor proposed yesterday at Multnomah Falls. It was so romantic. He hired a helicopter and everything." "And nobody thought to call me?" I interrupted, hurt and confusion overwhelming me. "Well, honey, you've been so busy with your own wedding preparations. We didn't want to burden you with our family news." The excuse felt flimsy and hurtful. I pressed further. "Mom, what's this about celebrating this weekend?" Another long pause. "Lily is having an engagement party on Saturday. Just family and close friends, nothing elaborate." My stomach plummeted. "But Saturday is my wedding day." "Is it?" she asked, sounding genuinely confused. "I thought your wedding was next weekend." "How could you possibly think that?" I demanded, logic cutting through my shock. "You've had the invitation for months. You've had the date saved." "Well, Lily has had this party date reserved for weeks now," my mother said defensively. "Everyone has already made arrangements to be there." "How could she reserve a date for an engagement party weeks before she got engaged?" I asked, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. The inconsistency was glaring. "They've been planning to get engaged for a while," Mom hedged. "They just made it official yesterday." Then her voice took on that familiar guilt-tripping tone I knew so well. "Rachel, would it be possible for you and Marcus to reschedule? We've already put deposits down for Lily's party, and all the family has made travel arrangements. It would be such a financial burden to change everything now." The audacity of the request left me speechless. Reschedule my entire wedding, with vendors booked, guests travelling, and every detail arranged, because my sister decided to have her engagement party the same day. "No, Mom," I said firmly. "We cannot and will not reschedule our wedding. We have 80 people coming, contracts signed, everything planned for months." "Well," she sighed dramatically, "I suppose we'll have to figure something out. But you know how important this is for Lily. She's been dreaming of this moment her whole life. And I've been planning my wedding for 8 months. I replied, my voice breaking. "You all RSVP'd, yes. Dad is supposed to walk me down the aisle." "We'll try our best to make it to part of your ceremony," she offered, as if this was a reasonable compromise. "Maybe we can attend your wedding in the morning and then make it to Lily's party in the afternoon." I hung up shortly after, too devastated to continue the conversation. I immediately called Emma, who expressed appropriate outrage on my behalf. "This is insane," she declared. "They cannot expect you to share your wedding day, or worse, reschedule it for an engagement party. Not even Lily's actual wedding, just her engagement party." "What should I do?" I asked, fighting back tears while sitting in my car in the hospital parking garage. "Nothing," she said firmly. "You do absolutely nothing except have your beautiful wedding as planned. If they choose Lily's party over your wedding, that tells you everything you need to know about their priorities. And Rachel, I promise you won't be alone. I'll be right there with you every step of the way." Marcus was equally supportive when I told him that evening, though I could see anger flash in his eyes before he controlled it for my sake. "Your family is making a choice," he said gently, pulling me close on our couch. "And it's a terrible choice that reflects their character, not yours. Our wedding will be beautiful because we'll be surrounded by people who genuinely love and support us." "But what if none of my family comes?" I asked, voicing my worst fear. "Then we'll still get married, still celebrate, and still start our life together," he said with conviction. "My family will be there, our friends will be there, and most importantly, we'll be there, promising to be each other's family for the rest of our lives." I tried to find comfort in his words, but the prospect of complete abandonment by my biological family on what should be one of the happiest days of my life felt overwhelming. That night, I cried in Marcus's arms until exhaustion finally claimed me, grieving not just their likely absence, but the family relationship I had always hoped for, but never actually had. The next morning, I texted Lily directly. "Congratulations on your engagement. I'm hurt that nobody told me personally. Is there any way you could reschedule your party? I would love for you to be at my wedding." Her response came hours later. "Thanks, sorry, but everything is already set up for the party. Maybe you could stop by afterward? It's going to be epic." The casual dismissal, the complete lack of acknowledgement that I couldn't exactly attend her engagement party during my own wedding reception, was the final confirmation I needed. I didn't respond to her text. Over the following days, I received a few more messages from my mother, each making it increasingly clear that they had chosen Lily's celebration over my wedding. The last text read, "We'll try to stop by your ceremony if we can break away from setting up Lily's party. Hope you understand, family comes first." The irony wasn't lost on me. In their minds, Lily was family. I apparently was not. The day before my wedding arrived, with beautiful October weather and our rehearsal scheduled for 4 p.m. I hadn't heard from my family in 4 days, despite leaving several voicemails asking if they would at least attend the rehearsal dinner. The historic mansion looked breathtaking as Marcus and I arrived early to meet with our coordinator. Golden afternoon sunlight streamed through the tall windows, illuminating the hardwood floors and the dahlia arrangements we had chosen. "Your family hasn't arrived yet," the coordinator noted as our scheduled start time approached. "They might be running late," I lied, the words tasting bitter. Marcus squeezed my hand as we watched his family arrive one by one, all smiling and excited. Carmen hugged me tightly, David clapped Marcus on the back with genuine pride, and Sophia immediately began taking photos to document every moment. At 4:30, with no sign of my family, we decided to begin without them. Our officiant, a close friend from medical school, guided us through the ceremony with warmth and humour. Marcus's 10-year-old nephew practiced his ring-bearer duties with adorable seriousness that made everyone laugh. Everything was perfect, except for the obvious emptiness on my side of the aisle. As we finished the rehearsal, my phone buzzed. I checked it, hoping desperately that it was my family saying they were on their way. Instead, it was a text from my mother. "Running behind with party prep. Have a great rehearsal, love you." I shoved the phone back into my purse, determined not to let anyone see how much that casual dismissal hurt. "They're not coming, are they?" Marcus asked quietly as we walked to the restaurant for our rehearsal dinner. "No," I replied, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. "They're too busy preparing for Lily's party." His jaw tightened, but he simply nodded and said, "Their loss." The rehearsal dinner was at a farm-to-table restaurant in the Pearl District. Marcus's parents had reserved a private room decorated with candles and seasonal flowers. Place cards marked each seat, including spots for my missing family members. I made it through the appetizers before excusing myself to the restroom, where I gripped the sink and took deep breaths to hold back threatening tears. When I returned, I noticed Carmen had quietly removed the empty place cards and rearranged the seating. She caught my eye and gave me a supportive smile, and I felt overwhelmed with gratitude for her thoughtfulness. The dinner continued with toasts and stories and genuine laughter. If anyone noticed my occasional distant expression, they were kind enough not to mention it. "Tomorrow will be perfect," Emma assured me as we prepared to leave. "I'll be at your hotel at 8 a.m. with coffee and pastries. We'll get you pampered and beautiful, and you'll be the most radiant bride Portland has ever seen." I hugged her tightly, grateful for her unwavering support. Back at the hotel, Marcus kissed me goodnight before heading to stay with his best man, following tradition. "This time tomorrow, we'll be husband and wife," he said softly. "Nothing else matters." Alone in my room, I made one final attempt to reach my family. I called my father's cell phone, my heart racing as it rang. "Hello?" He sounded distracted. "Dad, it's Rachel. I just wanted to confirm that you're still planning to walk me down the aisle tomorrow." A long pause filled with background noise that sounded like party preparations. "Rachel, I'm sorry, but your mother really needs my help with Lily's event. There's so much to coordinate, and you know how important this is for your sister." "More important than your oldest daughter's wedding?" I asked, my voice breaking despite my best efforts. "That's not fair, honey. We didn't realize there would be a scheduling conflict." "There's no conflict, Dad," I said firmly. "You made a choice." "I hope you have a lovely wedding," he said stiffly before ending the call. I sat on the edge of the hotel bed, staring at the wall. No more tears came. I felt completely hollow, as if something essential had finally broken inside me beyond repair. My phone chimed with a text from Emma. "Just checking in. How are you feeling, bride-to-be?" I managed to respond. "I'm okay, looking forward to tomorrow." Her reply came quickly. "About that, something urgent came up with my family. I might be a little late, but I promise I'll be there before the ceremony starts. Don't worry." A cold dread settled in my stomach. Emma had never been vague about anything before. Something about her message felt wrong. "Everything okay? Anything I can help with?" I texted back. All good, just need to handle some family stuff. Get some sleep, big day tomorrow. I tried to push away my growing unease, but something felt off about Emma's sudden change of plans. I opened Instagram to distract myself and immediately regretted it. Lily had posted a story showing her getting her nails done for tomorrow's big celebration. The location tag showed she was at the same spa where Emma had mentioned getting a manicure earlier in the week. With growing horror, I clicked on the photo to see who had liked it. There, among the hearts, was Emma's username. And worse, there was a comment from her posted just 20 minutes ago. You look gorgeous! Can't wait for tomorrow! I quickly switched to Emma's profile and found a story she had posted but then deleted, except Instagram had cached the posted 45 minutes ago timestamp. The story showed her shopping for a cocktail dress with the caption, perfect outfit for tomorrow's celebration. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. My best friend, my maid of honor, the one person who had promised to stand by me no matter what, was planning to attend Lily's engagement party instead of my wedding. I called her immediately, but it went straight to voicemail. I texted, I saw Lily's post and your comment. Are you going to her party instead of my wedding? Minutes passed with no response. Then finally, I'm so sorry, Rachel. Lily reached out and explained how much it would mean to her if I could be there. I thought maybe I could do both events, but the timing doesn't work. I should have told you directly. I feel terrible about this. The betrayal was complete. I turned off my phone, unable to handle any more communication. Everyone who was supposed to love me had chosen Lily again, even on my wedding day. I collapsed on the hotel bed and sobbed until I had no tears left, ugly, gasping cries that left me feeling empty and broken. I must have eventually fallen asleep because I woke to sunlight streaming through curtains I had forgotten to close and my phone ringing insistently. Groggily, I answered without checking the caller ID. Rachel, it's Jessica. I'm downstairs in the lobby with coffee and bagels. Can I come up? Jessica Martinez had been my study partner in medical school. We had maintained a casual friendship over the years, exchanging holiday cards and occasional texts. I had invited her to the wedding more out of courtesy than expectation that she would attend. Sure, I said, my voice hoarse from crying, room 418. Minutes later, she knocked on my door. I opened it to find her standing there with a coffee carrier and a bag from a local bakery. Hey, bride, she said cheerfully, then stopped when she saw my swollen face. Oh my God, Rachel, what's wrong? The simple question shattered my fragile composure. I burst into fresh tears right there in the doorway. Jessica didn't hesitate. She set down the coffee and food and pulled me into a firm hug. Hey, it's okay. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out. Through my tears, I told her everything. My family choosing Lily's party, Emma's betrayal, how I was now facing my wedding day without family or a maid of honor. When I finished, Jessica pulled back and looked me directly in the eyes. Okay. First of all, your family and Emma are completely wrong here. Second, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. If you'll have me, I would be honoured to step in as your maid of honour today. You would do that? I asked, amazed by her kindness. Absolutely. What are friends for? Now drink this coffee while I call the hair and makeup team to confirm they're still coming at 9. And then we're going to make sure you have the most beautiful wedding day possible, regardless of who chose not to be here. In that moment, Jessica showed me more loyalty than people I had considered much closer friends. The morning passed in a whirlwind of preparation. The hairstylist and makeup artist arrived promptly, transforming my tear-swollen face into something radiant. Jessica proved to be an exceptional substitute maid of honor, anticipating my needs and keeping me laughing with stories from our medical school days. By the time I stepped into my wedding dress, a flowing A-line with delicate beadwork, I almost felt like the bride I had imagined being. Almost, but not quite. The hollow feeling returned as I realised there would be no mother to help with my veil, thus no father waiting to escort me down the aisle. You look absolutely stunning, Jessica said, helping me with final touches. Marcus is going to be speechless. I managed to smile while studying my reflection. I just wish. I know, she said gently, but today is still your day. Focus on Marcus and the amazing life you're building together. That's what truly matters. A soft knock interrupted us. Jessica opened the door to reveal David, Marcus's father, standing there in his charcoal grey suit, looking slightly nervous. I hope I'm not intruding, he said, his warm eyes finding mine. Marcus mentioned that your father might not be here today. I wanted to offer to walk you down the aisle if you'd like. No pressure at all. The unexpected kindness brought fresh tears to my eyes. I would be honoured, David. Thank you. He nodded, clearly moved himself. The honour is entirely mine, Rachel. You've brought such joy to our son's life. You've been part of our family from the beginning. Today just makes it official. As we arrived at the venue, my phone remained silent. No messages from my parents, Lily or Emma. I had expected their absence, but the confirmation still stung. I handed my phone to Jessica. Keep this for me. I don't want any distractions during the ceremony. Absolutely, and I've turned off notifications just in case. The wedding coordinator guided us to the small room where I would wait before walking down the aisle. Through the window, I could see guests arriving and filling the white chairs despite the obvious gaps on my side of the aisle. Most seats would remain empty on the left side, but Marcus's family and our mutual friends filled the right side with warmth and love. 5 minutes, the coordinator announced, and suddenly the reality hit me. I was getting married without my biological family present. The mixture of joy and grief was disorienting. Ready? David asked, offering his arm as the string quartet began playing. I nodded, unable to speak past the emotion in my throat. Walking down the petal-strewn aisle felt surreal. I noticed the smiling faces turning to watch me, heard the soft gasps of appreciation, but everything seemed slightly out of focus until my eyes found Marcus waiting at the altar. His expression when he saw me was everything I could have hoped for. Pure love, awe, and absolute certainty. I was dimly aware of the empty front row on my side, but as David placed my hand in Marcus's, the pain of those absences faded, replaced by the warmth of Marcus's touch and the love shining in his eyes. You're breathtaking, he whispered as we turned to face our officiant. The ceremony was brief, but deeply meaningful. We had written our own vows, and Marcus's brought tears to my eyes. Rachel, I promise to be your partner in all things. I promise to celebrate your achievements as enthusiastically as my own, to stand beside you through every challenge, and to create a home where your worth is never questioned. You are the strongest, most compassionate person I know, and I'm in awe of your resilience. Today I'm not just gaining a wife, I'm creating a family with you, one built on unconditional love and unwavering support. The reception was held in the mansion's elegant ballroom, decorated with warm lighting and seasonal flowers. Despite the notable absences, the room felt full of genuine love and celebration. Marcus's extended family and our friends filled the space with laughter and meaningful conversation. If anyone noticed the bride had no family present, they were gracious enough not to show it. We had our first dance to At Last, by Etta James, swaying together in the centre of the dance floor while our guests watched with joy. When the song ended, David stepped forward for the traditional father-daughter dance, a gesture that brought tears to my eyes. Thank you for everything today, I whispered as we moved across the floor. You are family now, he replied simply. This is what family does. The evening continued with heartfelt toasts, delicious food, and dancing. I found myself genuinely enjoying the celebration, despite the underlying ache. Marcus rarely left my side, seeming to sense when my thoughts drifted to those who had chosen not to be there. Finally, it was time to cut our cake, a beautiful 3-tier creation with fresh flowers that matched our centerpieces. As Marcus and I positioned the knife together, smiling for our photographer, I felt my phone vibrate in the hidden pocket of my dress. I had retrieved it from Jessica during cocktail hour, not wanting to be completely unreachable in case of emergency. As we made the ceremonial first cut to applause, I discreetly checked the screen. A text from my father. Emergency. Call immediately. Below it, notifications showed 41 missed calls from my parents and even Lily, all within the past 2 hours. My stomach dropped. What could possibly warrant such urgent communication after they had essentially abandoned me today? Everything okay? Marcus asked, noticing my expression. I showed him the screen. I have no idea what this could be about. Whatever it is can wait, he said firmly. This is our wedding day. They made their choice earlier. Part of me agreed completely, wanting to ignore my phone and continue celebrating. But another part, the part that had always hoped for reconciliation, made me hesitate. But what if something is genuinely wrong? I asked. Marcus studied my face, then sighed. If you need to call them back, I understand. But remember, you don't owe them your time today. This is our day. I squeezed his hand gratefully. I'll step outside for just a few minutes. If it's not important, I'll come right back. Finding a quiet corner in the mansion's garden, I called my father's number. He answered on the first ring, his voice frantic and tearful. Rachel, thank God. We've been trying to reach you for hours. I was getting married, Dad, I said, unable to keep the edge from my voice. What's so urgent that it couldn't wait? What he said next would completely change everything I thought I knew about this day, about my family, and about the sister I had always believed simply outshone me in our parents' eyes. It's about Lily, my father said, his voice breaking. Trevor called off the engagement in front of everyone at the party. He said he couldn't go through with it because Lily confessed what she did to you. I sank onto a nearby stone bench, trying to process his words. What do you mean? What did she do to me? My father's breathing was uneven, punctuated by what sounded like suppressed sobs. Lily lied to us, Rachel, about everything. She deliberately scheduled her engagement party on your wedding day. She told us that you had moved your wedding date and hadn't bothered to inform us because you didn't want us there. The world seemed to tilt around me. What? She showed us fake text messages from you saying you wanted nothing to do with us, that you were having an intimate ceremony with only Marcus's family because they were your real family now. She said you specifically asked us not to come because seeing us would ruin your perfect day. My hand trembled as I gripped the phone tighter. Dad, I never sent messages like that. I've been calling and texting for weeks, begging you all to come. I left voicemails asking if you'd at least be at the rehearsal. I know that now, he said, his voice small and broken. Trevor confronted Lily when she made a comment about finally being the centre of attention for once. When he pressed her about it, she broke down and admitted everything. She had been intercepting your calls, deleting your voicemails from our phones, and even hiding the physical invitation you sent. I struggled to breathe as the magnitude of Lily's deception became clear. But why would you believe I wouldn't want you at my wedding? After all the times I called asking you to be there? She had an explanation for everything, my mother's voice cut in. Apparently I was on speakerphone. She said you were just keeping up appearances, that you had told her the truth about how you really felt. We should have called you directly instead of going through Lily, but she was so convincing. She even cried about how hurt she was that you didn't want your own family at your wedding. The pieces were falling into place, but I still had one crucial question. What about Emma? Why did she choose Lily's party over my wedding? Another pause, this one heavy with shame. Lily told Emma that you had asked someone else to be your maid of honour. She showed Emma fake screenshots of conversations where you supposedly said you had only asked her out of obligation, but had found someone you connected with better. Lily convinced her that coming to the engagement party would spare Emma the humiliation of being replaced at your wedding. I closed remembering Emma's sudden vagueness, her last-minute excuse. It all made sense now in the most twisted way possible. Where is Lily now? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady despite the storm raging inside me. She left after Trevor but broke things off, my mother said, her voice cracking. We don't know where she went. She won't answer our calls either. My father's voice returned. Rachel, we are so deeply sorry. We failed you completely today. I don't expect you to forgive us, but we needed you to know the truth. I need to process this. I said, my mind reeling. I'm in the middle of my wedding reception right now. Of course, my mother said quickly. We couldn't wait another moment to tell you the truth. Is there any chance we could see you tonight or tomorrow? Whenever you have time? The request felt surreal after everything that had happened. My wedding day, which I had dreamed about since childhood, was nearly over. They had missed the ceremony, the vows, the first dance, everything that could never be recreated or experienced again. I'll text you the address of our hotel, I said finally. We'll be back there around midnight. You can meet us in the lobby if you want. After ending the call, I sat motionless in the garden, trying to comprehend the scope of Lily's betrayal and my parents' gullibility. How could Lily have orchestrated something so elaborate and cruel, and how could my parents have believed her so readily without ever speaking directly to me? Rachel? Marcus's voice broke through my thoughts. He stood a few feet away, concern written across his features. You've been out here for 20 minutes. Is everything okay? I looked up at him, my husband of just a few hours, and felt a rush of gratitude for his steady presence in my life. No, I answered honestly. Nothing is okay, but I think it might be eventually. I told him everything, watching his expression shift from shock to anger to disbelief as the full story unfolded. He struggled to find words. I don't even know what to say. Lily deliberately sabotaged our wedding day. She manipulated everyone around her. That goes beyond sibling rivalry. That's calculated psychological manipulation. I told them they could meet us at the hotel after the reception, I said. I need to hear them explain this face to face. I need to understand how they could believe I would exclude them from my wedding. Marcus took my hands in his. Are you sure you want to deal with this tonight? We could wait until after our honeymoon if you need time to process. I shook my head. No, I need closure before we leave for Maui tomorrow. I can't carry this with me for 2 weeks. Then we'll face them together, he said firmly. Whatever you decide after hearing them out, I'll support you completely. We returned to the reception where our guests had barely noticed our brief absence. For the remainder of the evening, I went through the motions, smiling, thanking people for coming, dancing with Marcus and his relatives, all while my mind kept returning to the revelation that had turned my understanding of my family completely upside down. At 11:30, we made our exit amid a shower of flower petals and sparklers. I changed quickly at the hotel into jeans and a sweater, and we went down to the lobby to wait. My stomach churned with a mixture of anticipation and dread as I prepared to confront my family. They arrived at midnight looking haggard and red-eyed. My mother rushed toward me with outstretched arms but stopped short when I instinctively stepped back. Let's find somewhere more private, Marcus suggested, gesturing toward a small conference room the hotel had left unlocked. Once inside with the door closed, the four of us stood in awkward silence until my father spoke. Rachel, we don't expect forgiveness. What we did, believing Lily over you, missing your wedding, it's unforgivable. But we need you to know how deeply, profoundly sorry we are. Sorry doesn't change the fact that you missed my wedding, I said, my voice tight with controlled emotion, or that you believed I would exclude my own family without even picking up the phone to ask me directly. You're absolutely right, my mother whispered, tears streaming down her face. There's nothing we can say to justify our actions. We failed you as parents, not just today, but for years. Why was it so easy for you to believe I wouldn't want you there? I asked the question that had been burning inside me since the phone call. What kind of relationship did you think we had that would make that believable? My parents exchanged a pained look before my father answered. The truth is, we knew we hadn't been good parents to you, Rachel. We knew we had favoured Lily, made excuses for missing your important moments, failed to celebrate your achievements the way we should have. When Lily told us you didn't want us at your wedding, part of us believed it because we felt we deserved that rejection. So you just accepted it? I asked, my voice rising slightly. You didn't fight for a relationship with me? You didn't even try to make things right? We were cowards, my mother admitted. It was easier to believe Lily's lie than to face the truth about how badly we had failed you. And she's our daughter too. We never imagined she would lie about something so important. Where is Lily now? I asked. Why isn't she here apologising herself? We don't know, my father said. She left after Trevor confronted her. She's not answering our calls either. I shook my head, overwhelmed by the entire situation. I don't understand how she could do this. We've had our problems, but this level of deception, of cruelty. I think she's always been jealous of you, my mother said quietly. Your intelligence, your independence, the genuine relationships you build. We spoiled her, made her the centre of attention, but I think deep down she envied what comes naturally to you, real connections, real accomplishments. Marcus, who had been silent until now, spoke up. That might explain her feelings, but it doesn't excuse her actions. What she did was deliberate and destructive. You're absolutely right, my father agreed. There is no excuse, and we enabled her behaviour for years by always giving in to her demands. I looked at my parents, really looked at them, maybe for the first time in my adult life. They seemed smaller somehow, diminished by their guilt and shame. Despite everything, part of me ached for the family we could have been, should have been. I can't forgive you tonight, I said finally. I don't know if I can ever fully forgive missing my wedding, but I'm willing to try to build something new going forward if you're truly committed to change. They both nodded eagerly, tears flowing freely. We'll do anything, my mother said immediately. That means acknowledging the patterns that led us here, I continued. It means therapy, both individually and as a family. It means real accountability, not just for today, but for years of emotional neglect. Anything, my father agreed. We know we have a lot of work to do. And Lily needs professional help too, I added. What she did goes beyond normal sibling rivalry. This was calculated psychological manipulation. We know, my father said. When we find her, getting her help will be our first priority. We talked for another hour, painful but necessary conversation that began the process of examining the dysfunctional patterns that had defined our family for decades. No magical reconciliation occurred that night. No tearful group hug that erased years of hurt. But something shifted. A door opened that had been closed for a very long time. As Marcus and I finally headed up to our room, emotionally drained but strangely hopeful, he squeezed my hand. How are you feeling? I considered the question carefully. Not okay yet, but I think I will be. 8 months have passed since our wedding day. Marcus and I have settled into married life in our Portland apartment, learning the beautiful rhythms of partnership. Our honeymoon in Maui was exactly what we needed. 2 weeks of healing and reconnection away from family drama. Upon our return, the real work began. True to their word, my parents started therapy both individually and together. They suggested family counselling with me, which I agreed to after careful consideration. Every Tuesday evening, we meet with Dr. Rebecca Foster, a family therapist specialising in adult estrangement and family reconstruction. Healing isn't linear, Dr. Foster reminds us during particularly difficult sessions. There will be progress and setbacks. What matters is commitment to the process. Lily resurfaced 5 days after the wedding, calling my parents from a hotel in Seattle where she had been hiding. They convinced her to come home and immediately found her a therapist. It took 3 months before I agreed to see her. We met at a neutral coffee shop in downtown Portland. She looked different, smaller, more fragile, without the confidence that had always seemed to radiate from her. I don't know where to begin, she said, her voice barely audible. Sorry, feels so inadequate for what I did. Why? I asked simply. It was the question that had haunted me. Why would you go to such lengths to ruin my wedding day? Lily stared into her untouched latte for a long moment before answering. I've been working with my therapist and we've talked extensively about this. The simple answer is jealousy, but it's more complex than that. She explained how she had grown up feeling like she had to perform constantly to maintain our parents' attention. While they praised her publicly, privately they often compared her to me. Why can't you be more focused like Rachel? Why can't you build a stable career like your sister? I listened, surprised by this revelation. I always thought they favoured you completely. They did in many ways, but their favour came with conditions, she said. I had to be their perfect, charming daughter. You got to be authentic. You built a real life with real relationships and genuine accomplishments. I just performed for approval. That still doesn't explain why you would sabotage my wedding, I said firmly. Tears filled her eyes. When you got engaged to Marcus, I saw how genuinely happy you were, how complete your life seemed. Trevor had just proposed, but it felt empty, like another performance. I wanted what you had, and when I couldn't have it, I wanted to destroy it. It was petty and cruel and completely unforgivable. Yes, it was, I agreed, not willing to minimize the harm she had caused. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she said quickly. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I understand what I did, and I'm getting help to ensure I never do anything like this again. That first conversation was awkward and painful, but it was a beginning. In the months that followed, Lily continued therapy and eventually moved into her own apartment, starting work as a graphic designer, her first job that wasn't related to modelling or performance. My relationship with my parents has slowly evolved. They make genuine efforts to know me as I am now, not as the child they neglected. My mother calls regularly to ask about my work at the hospital, my research projects, my life with Marcus. My father sends articles about medical breakthroughs and asks thoughtful questions about my career. For the first time in my life, I feel truly seen by my family. Not completely, not perfectly, but genuinely. The wall of resentment I had built over decades has developed small cracks, letting in possibilities I never thought existed. Emma and I have had a much more difficult path to reconciliation. When she discovered the truth about Lily's manipulation, she was devastated. She sent flowers, lengthy apology letters, desperate voicemails trying to explain. I ignored them all for weeks, the betrayal still too fresh and painful. Eventually, I agreed to a phone conversation. I should have called you directly, she said, her voice thick with regret. I should have known you would never replace me without talking to me first. We've been friends for too long for that kind of behaviour. Yes, you should have, I agreed. That's what hurts the most. You believed the worst about me without even asking if it was true. I have no excuse, she admitted. I can only say that I'm sorry, and I'll spend as long as it takes rebuilding your trust if you'll let me. Rebuilding trust is infinitely harder than building it the first time. With Emma, the process has been slow and sometimes painful. We started with occasional texts, then monthly coffee meetings, gradually working towards something resembling friendship. The easy closeness we once shared remains elusive, but we're making progress. Jessica, surprisingly, became a close friend after her heroic rescue of my wedding day. We meet regularly for lunch, and she's become part of our extended social circle, often joining Marcus and me for dinners and weekend activities. On our first anniversary, Marcus and I decided to host a small dinner party at our apartment. Nothing elaborate, just a simple celebration with close friends and family. My parents came, bringing a scrapbook they had created featuring photos and mementos from my childhood achievements they had previously overlooked or minimised. Lily came too, bringing a thoughtful gift and maintaining a quiet, respectful presence as she continued working on finding her authentic self outside of performance and manipulation. During dinner, Marcus clinked his glass to make an announcement. He looked at me with sparkling eyes and I nodded, giving him permission to share our news. We wanted to wait until today to tell everyone, he said, reaching for my hand. Rachel and I are expecting our first child. The baby is due in September. The table erupted in genuine joy and congratulations. My mother cried happy tears. My father beamed with pride, and Lily hugged me gently, whispering, "You're going to be an incredible mother," in my ear. Later that night, after everyone had left and Marcus and I were cleaning up, he asked, "Are you happy with how things are now with your family?" I considered the question carefully. "I'm at peace with it," I answered honestly. "It's not perfect, and there are still moments when old hurts resurface, but we're building something new, something healthier. That feels like enough for now." And with the baby coming, I placed a hand on my still flat stomach. I want our child to know their grandparents and aunt, but with healthy boundaries firmly in place. I want to break the cycle of favoritism and emotional neglect. Our child will never question whether they're loved or valued. The journey from that wedding day to now has been challenging, filled with difficult conversations, painful realizations, and slow healing. But it has also been enlightening. I've learned that families aren't static entities, but dynamic relationships that can evolve and heal with genuine effort and accountability. I've learned that sometimes the greatest gift we can give ourselves is setting clear boundaries, demanding the respect we deserve, and being willing to walk away from relationships that consistently diminish us, even when those relationships are with family. Most importantly, I've learned that forgiveness isn't a single moment, but an ongoing process, one that happens in its own time and cannot be forced or rushed. True forgiveness comes not from forgetting the hurt, but from understanding it, processing it, and choosing to move forward with new awareness and stronger boundaries. As I look toward the future, now preparing to create a family of my own with Marcus, I carry these lessons with me. I am no longer the daughter desperately seeking approval from parents who couldn't provide it. I am a woman who knows her worth, who has built a life filled with genuine love and respect, and who chooses daily to nurture relationships that nurture me in return. Sometimes hearts must break completely before they can heal into something stronger. My heart shattered that day when I stood virtually alone at my wedding, abandoned by those who should have loved me most. But from that breaking came a strength and clarity I might never have found otherwise. For that, despite everything, I am grateful. Have you ever had to rebuild trust with someone who deeply betrayed you? How did you find the balance between forgiveness and protecting yourself from future harm? Share your experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please upvote and share your own family stories. Thank you for reading my journey. And remember, healing isn't about erasing the scars, but about wearing them as proof that you survived something difficult and emerged stronger than before.